And next up, we have Aster Fall, Guardian of Aster Fall, book number 2, written by David North. It is 830 pages, $5.99. It's available on Kindle Unlimited, and here's the author's description. Book 2 of Guardian of Aster Fall. Enchantments, ruins, and ancient power. These will determine whether Sam Hastern survives in his new life. He and his father have fought their way out of the Abyssinian Plains and returned home stronger than before. But Aster Fall is never peaceful for long, and the tiny village of Cliffsend is no longer a place they can live. Sam's journey will take him to the distant city of Highfold, where trouble is stirring beneath the mountains known as the Three Crowns. There, ancient ruins are coming to life beneath the light of Aster Fall's triple moons, promising either a route to power or an untimely grave. Will Sam be able to protect his family from the dangers of Aster Fall and prevent the breaking that was foretold, or will he fail in his most important duty? Ice lifts, outsiders, and the strange powers bound in the second volume of the Epic series. There you go. That's a pretty decent novel description. I'd say some aspects of the story have improved from book 1 and some kind of dragged down a little bit. Overall, though, still a very good, entertaining story. I like book number 1. I like book 2. That's the easy, simple review. The aspects that the story probably improved the most for me is in the point of view narration storytelling aspect. In book number 1, especially in the beginning of book number 1, the story shifted point of view so many times. And it really wasn't always clear whose point of view it was, unfortunately, that it was a little hard to get through that beginning section of book number 1. In book number 2, mostly cleared away. Most of the story is told from the main point of view of the main character, which for me makes the story more streamlined, helps me to see whose point of view I'm looking at, if it's going to be an unreliable narrator, that kind of stuff. And it's just like easier to follow along on that aspect. So big plus for me. All the other things I liked about the story are still there. Monster fighting, adventuring, are big aspects of the story. There's still the crafting and magic development aspects that I enjoyed from book number 1. Main character continues to develop his unique class, which is a combination of magic and crafting. I'm always a big fan of crafting. The aspects that it kind of lessened my enjoyment in compared to book number 1 is just kind of the variety of enemies felt a little bit lacking here. In book number 1, there was a theme of most of the main adventure taking place in an underground location. And so the monsters were themed like that. In book number 2, you can tell that the story is still themed. Instead of like having a large variety of monsters because they're in the big bad world and super wide, there's sort of most of the conflicts are restricted to this ice location. Well, not necessarily a bad thing. The theme monsters kind of fit in that a little too well. And the way that the story develops, like the adventuring and action, eventually kind of loses its tension for me a little bit, especially towards the end of the story. And I stopped feeling the main character was threatened and wasn't going to lose. And just a slight bit. So for me, it loses a little bit on that end. But overall, still good adventuring, still good development with his family and in the new allies in his group. And how the world building is developed. Very nice still. I was happy to see that continued on to make the story interesting. So all that was nicely done. So overall for me, it is still a good story. Plan to pick up book number 3 when it comes out. And it gets a score of 7.6 out of 10. Only just liked it slightly less than book number 1. Aster Fall, Guardian and Aster Fall, book number 2 with a score of 7.6 out of 10, which is still a good review score.